Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill White. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem. I'll be presiding this evening in the absence of Mayor Tully, who is out of town on business. Our first order is to come to order, and we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right now, I'd like to ask the village clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Here.
Commissioner Earl?
Here.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Barnett? Mayor Tully?
The next item on our agenda is to address the minutes from prior council meetings. Unless a member of the council has questions or corrections to the minutes, the chair invites a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to accept the minutes of council meetings as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or discussion regarding the minutes? I'll call for a voice vote. All in favor of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed to the minutes? The minutes are passed unanimously. With that, we come to item 4 on our agenda, which is the first opportunity for public comment. On this item, any member of the audience that wishes to address the council on any matter pertaining to the village that is not on this evening's agenda can come forward to the podium, state your name and address, and say what you have to say. We see someone's coming up already.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council, staff members. My name is Rich Calavani. I'm chair of Friends of the Edwards House. I reside at 6825 Camden Road in Downers Grove. The purpose for me standing here today is I'm very pleased to announce that Friends of Illinois or Friends of the Edwards House has won the Landmarks Illinois 2017 Richard H. Dreyfuss Foundation Preservation Award for Project of the Year for Advocacy. Each year, Landmark Award makes 9 awards throughout the states. This award is one of the top two awards, so we're very pleased about that. The awards ceremony will be held on Saturday, September 16th at venue 610, and it starts at 5 p.m. And there'll be the award winner panel discussion from 5 to 6 o'clock. Then from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, the award ceremony itself, and that will be followed by cocktails and hors d'oeuvres. So one of the things I wanted to do is, of course, thank the Friends of the Edwards House for their hard work in making this possible. Also wanted to thank Martin Tully for his leadership in forming the ad hoc subcommittee on historic preservation that worked alongside the Architectural Design Review Board, and the leadership those 14 people took to build a historic preservation ordinance that the entire village could get behind. I want to thank the village commissioners who voted unanimously 7-0 to pass that historic ordinance. And I also wanted to thank for the staff especially, and Stan Popovich and his wonderful team working so closely with us and collaboratively and really having a spirit of cooperation. There's no way that we could have done this without their support and help, and then all the hard work they do in making this happen. I also wanted to thank the Pierce Towner Heritage Alliance, who gave early leadership and help to get this thing going. Also, the wonderful working relationship we have with the Downers Grove Historical Society and the Downers Grove Museum on their complementary program, the Historic Home Program, that ties in so nicely with what we're doing at Friends of the Edwards House. And finally, and most importantly, I just have to thank the wonderful homeowners in the village of Downers Grove for their willingness to landmark, because those are the true heroes of this. People have stepped forward and say that they want to protect their homes and their buildings for generations. So we're very pleased, very honored, very excited about this award, and thank everyone for your help.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Calavani. This is a very big deal. Does anybody on the council have any brief comments they want to make? Otherwise, I'll just say that historic preservation, the accomplishments that have happened since I've been on council in this area are really very, very impressive, and it's been a huge benefit to our entire community, helping establish the character and the identity of Downers Grove. So thank you very much for that public comment. Anybody else wish to? Okay, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Hi. Hello. My name is Amelia Capolillo.
I live at 4237 Lindley Street in Downers Grove, and I live adjacent to Speedway gas station at 900 Ogden. And there have been a number of issues with the gas station as deferred maintenance. They have 240 feet of fence that is rotted and keeps falling down. I keep having to call to put it back up. They put up the old section. 2 days later, another section falls. It's devalued my property. It's right along the entrance, and there are other matters there as well. The fence is approximately 17 years old. I've called numerous times when the section falls down and it's all rotted. They just put it back up. They don't replace it. So the other issue is that they have dumpsters that they have too few dumpsters for what they kind of garbage they have. They have raccoons feeding there, and one person from the gas station stated that they will get raccoons living in the enclosure. And I have to trap raccoons constantly. There's constant damage. It's costing me thousands of dollars because they have a 24-hour buffet there. And they're infested with raccoons, infested with skunks. The police were on the next block telling people to clear their vegetation and everything, but the source of this is the food supply. You have, and I have photographs of their dumpsters flung open, the crates to the ceiling, and I called the health department finally. And then they have so much garbage thrown around the property that it clogged their retention pond. Then they wouldn't do anything about that. Then I called the village here, and nothing happened for about a month. And then I called the health department, and then they came down and everything started to want answers. And they still said, no, it's not ours. We had somebody look at the engineer, and it's not our problem. And Downers Grove said, yes, it is your problem. And they finally found it. But, it's another case of maintenance. They have weeds up 6-8 feet tall that they don't have the landscaper take the string trimmer down and clean it up. Now, I would think that it's a privilege to do business in Downers Grove, and they're making a great deal of money there. For deferred maintenance is typically a homeowner that is either ill or can't afford to maintain the property. In this case, they have billions of dollars. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no excuse. Now, I've been dealing with this for 6 months with down and up and down and up with the fencing, and it's wasting my time. It's wasting your time. It's wasting code's time. It's wasting the health department's time. They should take care of this automatically. There are standards for Downers Grove, I would think, because the homeowner has to, 6 inches, and they're out there tagging you.
Okay, can I offer a brief response?
Yes.
While you were speaking, I noticed that staff was diligently taking detailed notes of what you were saying. Please understand that none of us up here this evening have really heard about this before now.
Well, that's why I came.
Yeah, and thank you. We appreciate that. And we do appreciate you bringing up these concerns. And I believe, I speak for all of us, that having businesses operate in compliance with the code is something that's very important to us and for staff. I think if you make sure that you leave your name and address, contact information with the members of the staff here, and what I would ask that you do is that if after a period of time, you think you haven't been responded to, send an email to me or to the mayor, and we'll say, well, why haven't you responded? Because I think this is something, I think you certainly got everybody's attention this evening. So hopefully, hopefully it'll be taken care of in a way that complies with our ordinances.
That's why I came, because
Okay.
if you're not aware, you don't know what's happening.
And that's why we have this
I
item.
contacted the other places, but thank you very much.
And this is why we have item 4 on the agenda, precisely to allow people to come
Thank
forward,
you.
say these
Thank
things.
you. I mean, I'm not the Speedway police, but,
Okay?
people come onto my property from there. Sometimes they have homeless people, they have people that come in and leave bottles on your lawn, turn over the bird bath, and crash your things, and it's not pleasant.
My experience with our staff is they will pay attention to this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to make a public comment regarding matters not on this evening's agenda? Going once, going twice. Okay, we'll then move on to item 5, which is the consent agenda. I do note that item G will be removed from the consent agenda and will not be part of that. With that, I invite a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item G.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to accept the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any member in the audience that wishes to make public comment regarding any item on the consent agenda? Council members can't. So with that, we will ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor White?
Aye. Okay. Next on our agenda would be item 6, active agenda. There are no items on this evening's active agenda. We turn now to item 7, which is the first reading. These are matters which are being brought before the Village Council for the first time. There'll be a presentation by staff. After the presentation by staff, members of council will have the opportunity to ask questions of staff, or maybe the petitioner if they have anything to add. After the council has had a chance to ask questions, it'll be opened up to the public, and members of the public can ask questions or make comments regarding first reading items. There is no vote taken on first reading items, therefore nothing that is said, there'll be no decision made by council this evening. This is simply to introduce the topic, and then at a future active agenda is when we will be voting. Therefore, at this point, I ask the village manager to proceed with the first reading.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We do have 4 items on tonight's first reading agenda. However, they're all related to one issue. And as you just saw, not only will Stan Popovich, our CD director, present the items, but he'll also work the audio-visual for his own presentation here. So thank you, Stan, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Manager Fieldman. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. The item tonight, as Dave referenced, is special use plan unit development amendments and a platted subdivision for 2001 63rd Street, better known as the Meadowbrook Shopping Center. The project, we all know Meadowbrook, is on the west side of town here at the southwest corner of Woodward and 63rd Street. If we zoom in a little here, we can see the shopping center outlined in red. You'll notice there's a red square shape that's not part of the project. That's a separate lot. But the rest of the center here in red is within the Meadowbrook Shopping Center. You'll notice in the upper left, the mobile gas station is not within the shopping center. The proposal before you tonight, which brings us to it, is the northeast corner of the site, of the southwest corner of Woodward and 63rd Street, where an existing restaurant is located. The petitioner is proposing to redevelop this site with a new Walgreens. And you'll notice here, too, one of the first things I want to point out is that there's 2 curb cuts here, which plays into my next item that I was going to bring up, is the fact that we're going to be removing 2 curb cuts that have full access points and replacing it with a single 3/4 access point. So you can get in from both eastbound and westbound, but only out. You can only go eastbound, so you can only make a right out of there. The proposed new Walgreens shown here is in blue. The building would be a little bit west of the existing building here. You would see a redeveloped parking lot both to the east and to the west, and then a drive lane to the north. And it would tie into the existing drive lane that's within the shopping center currently. If we look at the site plan, the drive-through lane is on the west side of the building, where that little white box is. The arrows, it's a one-way circulation pattern around the building. Due to some grade changes on 63rd Street, there's a retaining wall there, so it is a one-way access point to the drive-through and to the west side there. On the east side with the parking lot, it's full circulation with 24-foot wide drive aisles there. The loading zone for the Walgreens and the trash is in this location, so it's tucked away at the best location away from the residents on the north side of 63rd Street. There's a wall there as well that'll screen some of the work that's there as well. And then again, here's the new entrance that's going to be proposed and planned here at 63rd Street. This is the one of the renderings there that they provided. This is a stucco building. We worked with the architect to add some unique fenestrations to this with some of the columns there, and then some additional windows on the 63rd Street side as well. And then when we initially saw this, a lot of the facade was larger panels of stucco, but we worked with them to try to break it down into their design to meet their corporate look, as well as to try to improve the building and the appearance here on 63rd and Woodward. With regard to the shopping center, you can see the Walgreens in the upper right-hand corner, which is the northeast corner of the property. The plan also includes significant improvements to the center itself. which we all believe is necessary and important to the continued vibrancy of this center. One of the key things here is a facade renovation on these three buildings, the principal facades of all these three buildings. I'll go over each a little bit of what the facades look like currently. And so this is the westernmost building. So you can see what the existing conditions in the right-hand side of the little picture is. We're adding an ephes cornice here with some differing heights as well to project a little height. And then there's a little bit of depth on the cornices as well. There is renewed improvements to the columns there, so there's a masonry base with some barge board, in essence, the columns there as well. If we look at this corner here where the market is, you'll see the change here, again, adding some height to the Familia Market to add some differentiation on this facade and then wrap it just a little bit around the corner there. And then if we look at the beef place there, Maxwell's Beef at the corner, again, we're creating a corner element here to have it a little bit taller to create some differentiation from the existing facade that's one level in height. And then if we look at the smaller building here on Woodward, that's a three-sided building because there are businesses on both the north and the south side, so this would receive a similar treatment to this. And so we are keeping some of the canopy there that overhangs, and then again, just providing an ephes over the canopy there as well. So significant facade improvements that they're proposing to have. In addition to that, they're proposing to install some islands with a tree in each of the islands here to sort of break up the parking lot and to add some green into this parking lot. They're proposing improvements to this portion of the drive aisle there and then that outlot with parking to reseal it, repair it, and to stripe it as well so it looks more like a usable parking lot. Additional improvements include in the back. They're going to repair and restore the rear drive aisle here. It's got some speed bumps in it, and it deteriorates quickly as cars sometimes cut through here. And then with the large trucks going back to deliver, it takes a beating back there. There's also going to be some improvements here at this location where generally where the oval is, there's some stormwater issues where a pond's back there, and so that'll be taken care of with this proposal. And then finally, in the southwest corner of the site, in the lower left, there's a large area of pavement over here, so they're going to take that out and reorient the drive aisle so it goes up adjacent to the building, and then remove one of the curb cuts here, so that will hopefully help eliminate a little bit of the cut-through traffic and add some more green space on the site as well to ensure that that is maintained. The plat of subdivision shown here divides the lots. It extends the existing lot at the northeast corner of the site over to the west. Additionally important for us is that there's a cross-access easement proposed through that drive aisle there, so that ensures that Walgreens customers can get in from Belmont or to go out onto Woodward or onto 63rd. Also ensures access for other tenants in that area as well. This is the plat of subdivision for that. With regard to the comprehensive plan, so when they initially came in, we had our older comprehensive plan, and then we were working on our new one. So right now, as adopted, it's a key focus area, 63rd. It talks about maintaining our commercial nodes in that corridor, beautifying, adding landscaping, enhancing access, which we believe the proposal meets. And then this is also a catalyst site, so it's a large development opportunity. One of the concepts there talks about increasing the outlot development to make it a more commercially viable, visible and viable, convenient shopping center for the community. With regard to our development standards and criteria, the PUD amendment criteria in section 28.12.040 are met. Special use criteria met, and the plat of subdivision meets all the requirements in the subdivision ordinance as well. That concludes my presentation. I have Larry Friedman and Mitch Kahn here with the ownership group, and they're ready to talk to you as well about the project.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Lawrence Friedman. I'm the attorney for the applicant. This is Mitchell Kahn, one of the principal owners. I think staff's summary covered it very well, and we don't want to repeat what they said, but I think I'm going to have Mr. Kahn make a couple of comments historically about what is done here and what his plans are, and then we obviously are here ourselves, and we have our consultants here tonight to answer any questions that the council may have. Mitch?
Thanks, Larry, and thank you all for letting us appear tonight. So I just wanted to give you a quick, brief history. Most of what I was going to say, Stan kind of stole my thunder, but he probably did it better and more efficiently and way better PowerPoint than I ever could have done, so thank him for that. But I just wanted to, again, kind of remind everybody where we've been and where we are and hopefully where we're going. We bought this center about 4.5 years ago out of a bankruptcy. As you all probably know, this property was owned by a family that was in the bankruptcy. He bought it through, but that had owned it for many, many, many years and quite frankly had neglected it terribly. So when we took it over, I know the village was frustrated. We met with the village very early on with staff talking about a plan that looks very much like this. And it has taken longer than we had hoped it would take, but I think we're finally at a very good place. In the meantime, we have spent upwards of $1 million already fixing huge issues in the parking lot, fixing many issues in the roofs, making the property, frankly, habitable for many of our tenants over the last number of years. And I think what speaks to the quality of Downers Grove and the quality of the property is that even with all the issues we've had there and all the struggles and frankly how horrific that facade looks today, the center is over 80% leased and virtually no tenants have left in the 4.5 years we've been there, which we're very excited about, and we hope to bring more business to them and improve everything at the center by doing this. And one of the key components for us and the way we're able to get this done is to bring a tenant the quality of Walgreens here, which helps us be able to do all the facade work that we're talking about doing and the repair work in the back of the shopping center. So that's just a very, very brief overview of kind of where we've been, hopefully where we're going. Again, as Larry said, we're here to answer any questions you have. And we have traffic folks here and architects and engineers and can answer any specific questions you have that we can't.
Terrific, thank you. First, any members of council have questions either for staff or for the applicant?
I do. I have two questions. Maybe Stan, you can go back in your PowerPoint to the site for the back. I'm mostly interested in the drive-through drive aisle. I'm concerned because, that's good. Well, that picture's good too, yeah, both of these. I'm concerned about the drive aisle going against the traffic that's getting into the right turn lane. So you've got opposite headlights hitting each other as they're coming around to pick up a prescription to get in the drive-through lane. That drive aisle, I'm worried, is going to be putting headlights into the traffic that's on 63rd Street going eastbound, trying to make a right turn onto Woodward. I know we kind of had this, the same kind of thing going with the drive-through at the Panera on Ogden, and we thought that it was going to be taken care of with some plantings in the median strip, but it really does not. As a frequent user of that drive-through, I can tell you that there's headlights hitting, and I'm concerned that that's going to be an issue here. I'm also concerned about the building materials that are on the Walgreens itself. I know it's been alternately talked about it being stucco and EIFS. Obviously stucco being preferable, but still not as durable as something like a brick or a stone would be. And I'm concerned with the fact that on the facade that the stucco comes down so low on the building that you're going to have deterioration quite rapidly. Actually, same thing on the center with some of those columns. Those columns are wrapped and they're low. Only a foot, maybe a foot and a half, 18 inches up. That wrapping should maybe come at least 4 feet, just due to the weather that we have and the salt and the stuff that gets on these columns. I don't want to see this if or the EIFS or whatever's being used deteriorating too rapidly. And if we're going through the trouble of building a brand new nice building, we want it to stay looking nice for as long as we can possibly get it. So those are my two big comments.
We'll have our traffic consultant
Okay.
introduce yourself and respond if you can to the first comment.
Good evening. My name is Javier Milan. I'm a senior consultant of KLOA Incorporated. And regarding your concern with the lights in the drive-through, Well, I do acknowledge the concern that you have with that. Just to give you a little bit of information, a drive-thru for Walgreens doesn't generate as much as, let's say, a Starbucks or a Burger King or a McDonald's. So it's very limited in terms of the amount of traffic that would use the drive-thru. Look at it as, because of the limited amount of drive-thru traffic that you would have, is very similar to what you have today with the Roundheads Pub. You have a drive aisle that is immediately south of 63rd Street that could actually take you onto the proposed three-quarter access drive. So it would be very similar to that. So in terms of the lights, that you were talking about, we professionally and personally don't see it as a problem because of the limited amount or usage of the drive-thru. Again, the best comparison that I can give you, this is not a Starbucks or a McDonald's that it's heavily used. It's more, remember, it's for dropping off prescriptions and picking them up.
Yes, I understand that, and I know how heavily the one on the other side of town is used, and I would hope that you're going to get quite that much business over on this end of town too. It's still the same question. It's less the people in the drive aisles who have the problem, but more the people who are battling with those headlights as they're coming in, making that move to get into the right turn lane, who are suddenly getting flashed in the eyes with headlights that are either moving slowly or stopped and standing, waiting to make their move around the corner if it gets backed up, because it only looks like there's one pickup window there. It's not multiple pickup windows, so that means it's going to queue up around the corner. So I have concern of that. That is, if the traffic were headed, if the drive-through were on the other side, if the traffic were heading the other direction, and all the headlights were going the same direction, it wouldn't be much of an issue because there'd be separation.
Okay.
But that's my concern.
Think about it this way. If you're driving eastbound on 63rd Street and you want to get, let's say, on the left turn lane and turn north, it's the same situation. You have lights, like you're saying, looking at you. In this case, you're talking about the vehicles that are traveling eastbound on 63rd, trying to get into the right turn lane to go south into Woodward. Am I right so far?
Yes.
And then you have the lights, the few lights that you would have from Walgreens, from the drive-thru, if you have one or two. So again, it's no different than when you are actually driving on eastbound or westbound and you're trying to get into left turn lane and you have headlights coming at you. So it's the same situation. And again, yes, it's used, but I want to emphasize this is not.
I understand where you're going with that, and I understand the comparison. I just worry that you expect lights coming at you on headlights coming at you when on your left side, and you're making that right. You're making a move with the car. It's more of blindly into the right-hand lane. I'm just concerned that that's not where you expect headlights to be coming at you, and it may well be that you've got some plantings in mind. I don't know, but I haven't seen that far ahead, and so all I know is what I've seen so far, because we do have a situation where there is something in town that's like this, and it doesn't work as well as we would have hoped. So I don't know what to say other than that, give you that feedback.
So I can understand this better. How far east of the building are you talking about the cars stacking up?
Even if they're just stacked up around the corner. The drive-through is actually on the side where the.
So are we talking about Woodward Avenue, or people turning into the?
Well, I'm worried that Woodward, if they're starting to stack onto the Woodward side, or even on an angle, though, as they're going around that corner, because there's maybe two cars in front of them, as they're coming around the curve, that those headlights are pointed right at people making the maneuver to get over.
How many cars can fit between the actual service windows and the northwest corner of the building? Looks to me you could probably get 5 or 6 cars south of, from where you actually work on the windows to the northwest corner of the building.
About here?
So I think you need like more than 8 cars waiting before there's any cars.
From the pickup drop-off window that you see next to the Walgreens to the corner to the north, you can accommodate about 4 to 5 vehicles.
No, I do suggest that maybe we try to get more detailed answers between now and the actual vote.
Right.
To get these concerns resolved.
That's why I'm asking now.
Yeah, we're not going to figure this out this evening.
All right, let me also suggest, I mean, I don't know that we certainly can look at the relative elevation of the street and that aisle, and landscaping to the extent it's in the plan, or to the extent it could be added to the plan, whether it makes any difference. We don't want to add it if it doesn't have a function. So we can look at all of that before we bring this back, and we can certainly even sit down with staff and discuss all those variables and see whether or not it really, well, to the extent it is a problem, and if it is, how we can address it. We'll be glad to do that.
That's satisfactory for this evening?
That's fine for this
Okay.
evening, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
And then we have the
had an architectural question.
the materials. Materials.
Good evening. My name is John Bradshaw. I'm with Camberson Theodore Architects. I can address the issue that you had with the base of the building. I think that was your greatest concern. Is that correct?
That was the greater concern, but
Yeah.
there seems to be a question as to whether this is actually, the Walgreens is actually ephes or stucco, because that was, I know it was said stucco, but when I read the Plan Commission meeting minutes, that's not what it was going to be.
Yeah,
So-
the material above the base is an exterior insulating finish system. So ephes, as most people call it, that is the system that we're using from 2 feet 4 above. So possibly a slight technicality between stucco and that. It is a similar finish that goes over the insulation to stucco, but stucco in its classic sense is different in that it's a 3-coat thing. So the system that goes over the insulation here is also a 3-coat system too, but it is different. It's good in the fact that it's very insulating, and that's, there's a lot of codes involved there that we're trying to attain as well. As far as the base goes, typically for Walgreens, and this is their new prototype, but typically in a Walgreens, and we've done a few of them, the base of the building is stone, and almost consistently, it's about at 2 feet. This base is at 2 foot 4 in this case, so we have some stone nosing as well. So I think in Walgreens' eyes and in our eyes, it's protective of things like being kicked or salt that gets placed on the sidewalk. So in their eyes, and they govern the building a lot. We design it, but they govern it. They're satisfied with the stone base that we have there as far as those maintenance concerns. Not to mention the fact that Walgreens, in my estimation, and I've seen them maintain a lot of buildings, they're very good at their maintenance too. So if there's anything else you'd like me to add?
That's good for the moment. Anybody else have any?
Any other comments from members of the council? Commissioner Waldeck?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I've always had a problem with the ephes material. It's always said if it's done properly, it can look good, last a long time. But if it isn't, or if there's mistakes made or whatever, it can really look bad very quickly. And I'm glad we're discussing this type of a project for the Meadowbrook Center because in the last 20 years, I could probably talk about this center for about an hour with neighbors and what's been going on and what it looks like. And so I'm glad that we have an opportunity to make some improvements, but I want to make sure that the improvements we make are not going to deteriorate somewhere down the line. And for one of the questions I have for staff is how the ephes material that's going to be used here compares to the Panda Express that we talked about a month ago or whatever, as far as height and usage and that. So I can get some sort of a comparison before next week for staff, or before it's brought up again. I'm also, like I say, when ephes fails, it looks really, really bad. And this is a shopping center that has a history of bad, and you guys have had nothing to do with it. You're trying to improve it, and I want to make sure that we do improve it and that we're not going to look 5-10 years down the line and have a repeat. So the lady who was up here before was talking about Speedway and garbage and materials, and we have to have a very strong enforcement of our, for lack of a better word, aesthetics. The EFS might work for the building, may protect it to the point you want, but the way it looks, I think we need to have a very strong enforcement of our maintenance. So I don't have a problem with EFS as long as it's done properly and lasts and looks well, but when it fails, I want it fixed. I want it fixed right away. Less EFS, the better. That's probably where, it's all about maintenance and how it looks. And I'm sure you have a big investment in the property and you want it to look good, but things can go bad. So I just want to be assured that our current maintenance rules and enforcement will make sure that Meadowbrook is on the upswing and will not deteriorate in the long run or look bad. But other than that, I welcome Walgreens on the corner. Actually, I think it's a good location for it. So other than that, I wish you all the best.
Sure, thank you. Thank you. A couple of quick comments. First, we feel the same way you do about maintenance. We've owned a lot of shopping centers over the years, and EFS, the way it was built 25 years ago, was a disaster, quite frankly. It was a product that didn't work very well, and John can speak to the details of it from an architectural perspective. It's a dramatically different product today. It insulates the building. It actually works very, very well. And most importantly, Walgreens will maintain their own building. No one will maintain that building for them. And if you look at Walgreens around the city and other places, and I think John spoke to it earlier, they are vigilant with how they maintain their building. We have an agreement with them as to make sure that it will be maintained, so we will enforce that agreement and they enforce it themselves. So maintenance is a critical issue to them and to us. And we're excited, frankly, to be here finally after a very long, drawn-out process, 4 years to get here. We want to own a shopping center that we can be proud of, and we have great tenants who have been supportive of us. We're hoping to do lots of good things there, but I'd be lying if I said we were very proud of what it looks like today. I think when we're done, we're going to be very proud of what it looks like, and we're going to maintain it very well.
Any other members of the council have questions on other issues on this? Okay, what I'd like to say right now is that this is a first reading, which means that there's a week or more, perhaps more, as long as needed, actually, for additional information to be given to council, not in the public forum like this, which will address these various concerns that have been raised. I'll say that stepping back and looking at it from 50,000 feet, say this is exactly the right development at this corner. I personally hope we do everything we possible. This would be very valuable for the community, very valuable for the center, and hopefully we can get additional information to resolve some of these issues about aesthetics and drive-through. But I wholeheartedly support voting yes on this the next time it comes before us.
Thank you. We'll take the time during the week to confer with staff and see what, if anything, we can provide that'll help you.
Please do, because I'd like us to be able to go forward with the vote with everybody on board. Basically, yes. Because I think this is a huge win for this part of town. Any other final comments before we open up to the public? Actually, we'll have another chance to talk. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak regarding these petitions? You don't all have to race up here at once. Okay, going once? Okay. I see that there's no public comment on this. Any last word from members of the council? With that, I think that concludes this item. I believe that concludes our first reading.
You're correct, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes the first reading portion. We come now to the mayor's report of new business. In the absence of the mayor, I will raise an issue regarding an appointment that he has made. Okay, I'm trying to recall, do we have the appointment resolution read before a motion or after the motion?
Either way, whatever the pleasure of the Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, the chair invites a motion for the appointment of an individual to the Police and Fire Commission.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we accept the appointment as presented.
Bradley J. Bloom.
Second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, I would ask that the clerk read the resolution, please.
A resolution appointing Bradley J. Bloom to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. Whereas Mayor Tully has made the following appointment, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Downers Grove does hereby confirm the following appointment. Board of Fire and Police Commissioners appoint Bradley J. Bloom to a 3-year term expiring August 31, 2020.
Thank you. We have a pending motion and a second, so as this is a vote, is there any member of the audience, any member of the public wishes to come forward and comment on this proposal? Any member of council have anything to say for or against this proposal? Going once, going twice? And call the vote, please.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor White?
Aye. Okay, that resolution passes. We wish Mr. Bloom the best of luck in his new position. We move down to the manager's report.
No report tonight, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Okay, the attorney's report.
Thank you. 3 items to present this evening. The first is an ordinance approving an amendment to Plan Unit Development Number 1 to allow construction of a convenience store with a drive-through at 2001 63rd Street. Also have an ordinance authorizing a special use for 2001 63rd Street to permit a convenience store with a drive-through, and an ordinance approving an amendment to Plan Unit Development Number 8 to allow parking lot and facade improvements to the Meadowbrook Shopping Center. All 3 of these items will be on next week's active agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Then we turn to item 11, council member reports. We'll start at the right. Commissioner Jose, any report?
No report, thank you.
Commissioner Waldeck?
No report.
Commissioner Wallace?
No report.
Commissioner Earl?
Yeah, I have to break that, sorry. Just a quick note that the library just wrapped up their strategic planning session, but the Park District is just getting into gear with theirs. So be on the lookout for information from the Park District so you can give them some input as to what you like and you don't like about the Park District. That's my report.
And then, I'm not sure exactly where I fall, but I do want to make one final comment to once again congratulate the Friends of the Edwards House for their outstanding results. With that, I have no further report. The chair invites a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor White?
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.